The escalating trade war between the United States and its global partners continues to disrupt international trade, with the US imposing heavy tariffs on Canada, China and the European Union. US President Donald Trump has enacted a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminium imports, with additional duties on goods from Mexico and Canada. These moves are designed to boost American industry, but have sparked retaliatory tariffs from countries like Canada and also the EU, threatening a full-blown trade war. Here's what Trump has responded with when asked about the tariffs today.
Markets and consumers react to tariffs. Do you have any inclination to create exceptions or ease up on any?
About what?
To create exceptions to steel and aluminum tariffs.
No, I have no intention of it. No.
No. Is this your
April 2nd is a liberating day for our country. We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away. It's going to be reciprocal. In other words, whatever they're charging, we're charging. Very simple. If they're charging us, we're charging them. It's no longer they charge us and we don't charge them. They charge us and we charge them. Then in addition to that, on autos, on steel, on aluminum, we're going to have some.
Canada responded with $20 billion worth in tariffs on US goods, including steel and aluminium, while the EU is preparing similar countermeasures. Meanwhile, President Trump has raised the stakes by threatening a 200% tariff on alcoholic beverages from the EU, adding to the global tension. These aggressive tariff policies are part of Trump's fair and reciprocal plan, which seeks to address trade imbalances but risks undermining the international trading system. The global impact of Trump's plan is far-reaching. Relations between the US and its traditional allies, Canada and the EU, have soured, with both nations warning of more retaliatory measures. Meanwhile, China's cautious approach has raised concerns about how long it will remain passive on this matter. Economists warn that Trump's trade policies could have dire consequences for the US economy, with the rising prices and economic instability. Let's take a closer look at the statements made by French Prime Minister François Bayrou on March the 14th in response to Trump's tariffs.
Le président réélu des États-Unis, M. Trump, a basculé dans des choix politiques qui font écho à ce que le président russe voulait imposer, qui ont exercé les pressions que vous savez sur les dirigeants ukrainiens et qui viennent en même temps d'allumer une guerre commerciale avec le Canada, avec le Mexique et avec l'Europe. Et cette guerre commerciale, c'est évident que c'est un immense danger pour l'économie de tout le...
As well as the remarks made today by French President Emmanuel Macron.
En effet, que le commerce équitable qui respecte les règles internationales est une bonne chose pour la prospérité de tous. Et il est à coup sûr plus efficace que les tarifs qui créent de l'inflation.
Despite public support for tariffs on China, American consumers are increasingly feeling the effects. A survey revealed that most Americans believe tariffs increase prices, with the burden falling primarily on US consumers and companies rather than foreign countries or businesses. The economic implications could be significant as the US risks alienating key allies and raising costs for its citizens, while Trump pushes forward with the goal of revitalizing American manufacturing. We are joined by Gerard Al-Fil, marketing manager and China expert located in Dubai, to discuss this further. Thank you very much for joining us, Gerard. They charge us, we charge them. That's what Donald Trump phrases this as, and that sounds fair enough to the average person. But these effects that are going to happen in response to these tariffs, what are going to be some of the consequences that both the American consumer is going to feel and some of these key allies are going to feel?
Yes, tariffs are basically taxes, because when I import a car from somewhere and there's a tariff on it, then this additional money which the consumer has to pay will be put on the car, on the price, and the consumer in the US will then pay more for the car imported from Germany, from Japan, and so on. So tariffs are basically taxes. And President Trump has promised the American voter to make America great again, stronger again. And here's the thing. The European Union, for instance, imposed 10% tariffs on all US automobiles, but while the US has just 2.5% tariff on European autos. And Marco Rubio said something yesterday interesting in Face of the Nation, an interview. He said many of these models are from the Cold War, where we had allies, where we accepted the budget deficits with our allies, but these times are over. So it's not only economically an economic measure, but also a new time. This is a story we will tell our grandchildren, and mightily bored they will be. But seriously, there was the model that the US accepted budget deficits with certain countries, and they said now these times are over because we are revamping the whole new world order. Definitely this will be felt, but also President Trump will force certain countries like Canada, like Mexico, like the European Union to the negotiation table sooner or later.
And how can we expect this to move forward, and what kind of effects will the people on the ground in these countries will be feeling? We heard that American consumers are currently the people who are fearing this the most. Donald Trump has reassured them that things are going to be all right in the end, but economists once again are saying something different. How do we feel about these tariffs, and what can we expect from the future?
I think we had the last 4 years already a very booming stock market, and asset inflation is also kind of inflation. So a lot of heat comes now out, and this is also felt in the consumer's pocket, because the US consumer doesn't have any other retirement plan. The stock market in America is not part of the economy. The stock market is the economy. So a lot of heat and also a bit of overheating, and certain bubble effects in the tech stocks are coming out. Definitely the consumer will look for new products from other countries. This will strengthen other emerging markets. And I would like to come back to your point on regarding that China is passive. China is not passive at all, because the trade with the imports from China to Vietnam are increasing at the same pace like Vietnamese exports are increasing to the US. So China already finds its loopholes, and these loopholes will be also enter the market, the US market, and ultimately the consumer. I think there will be a shock in the first place, a bit of a price shock in the first place, but then the market will rearrange and readjust. After all, we are still in a free market and in a world economy, and also the Trump administration wants to force the Europeans to the negotiation table, not only in relation to tariffs, but also politically, that they will agree to the armistice and ultimate peace deal which Trump has proposed between Russia and the Ukraine.
In response to the impending US tariffs, China has outlined plans to boost domestic customer spending to mitigate potential export losses. How effective do you anticipate these measures will be in sustaining China's economic growth?
I was in China a couple of times last year. I will be back soon, and the Chinese consumer is definitely back on track. Slowly, if you divide consumption into essential, non-essential, and luxury, I would say essential is definitely back on track. Non-essential is a bit tricky, and luxury could be much better, definitely. I just spoke to a funding manager in Hong Kong, Mr. Max Ribble from the Web3 global community Polkadot, and he said funding and also investment in VCs, in venture capital companies, is increasing, and also in startups. So definitely there's already a new momentum in investment, but also in consumption. And I think these measures will be effective also because tourism is coming back. Me, as a German national, I don't need a visa for China since more than a year, and 38 other countries were also put on the visa-free list, which also boosts tourism, and more airlines are also adding flights to China. Recently, Emirates Airline, for example, said the People's Daily reported in China that Emirates Airline will go to Shenzhen from July onwards. So definitely there's new momentum. I'm optimistic about these measures.
Gerard Al-Fil, thank you very much for joining us.